there, everybody. Welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. My name's Matt, and today we're going to review A Town Called Terror #1. But before we get into it, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, commenting, it really helps me out and lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it. All right, we got the cover here for A Town Called Terror #1. It is an Image comic, and it is by Steve Niles and Szymon Kudranski. And we start off here on the first page where there is some kind of medical lab, and there's a person bringing in some sort of material, and this is a really high security place, almost like it's a disease control place or something. And when they walk into the room, we see a torso on the table, and then the person begins to open up the contents of the boxes they brought, and we find out that it is the rest of that body, the legs, the feet, the hands, the head, and he proceeds to just reattach them, and they just click into place. He's not sewing them, he's just pushing the bones together and then turning them and they click. And when he attaches the head last, the eye opens, and the man who is no longer dead says, "You should have attached my head first." Then we cut to the suburbs, where we meet a man named Henry West and his wife, Julie. And it seems like they have a really good marriage. They have just made love, and as he gets up to get her some ice cream, some light starts shining through their window, and as he looks out, people burst in. They shoot Julie with a dart, and they take Henry. So then we cut to following Henry. It turns out they have traveled by helicopter all over the state of Minnesota. And when Henry wakes up, he's not very upset. Of course, he's mad that he got hit in the head and his wife got drugged. And he even says, "I don't know if I'll see her again." He's aware of the situation because he says his father must be alive again. And we're to assume that this isn't the first time this has happened. So they travel by car, and they end up in a town called Terror, which I guess is the town where he's from. And they take him back to his childhood home where his father is waiting. But then we cut back to Henry's house where Julie has woken up and she's trying to report the kidnapping. But the police aren't having any of it. They're saying that to report a missing person, he has to be missing for 24 hours. And she's trying to explain to them that this is not a missing person, this is a kidnapping. People came in, shot her with a tranquilizer dart, and took him. And they literally just hang up on her. So she waits all day long until 24 hours has passed and calls again, now reporting that her husband is missing. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't want to spoil anything else in this comic. So usually I go into these comics pretty fresh. I did see some reviews of this issue that said the story was hard to follow. It wasn't hard to follow for me. I got it. Everything made sense to me. It is a weird story. Obviously, people coming back from the dead, a dude being put together like Frankenstein and whatnot. But obviously there's a lot of mystery going on, like who is the dad? Who is Henry? If this has happened before? And of course, what's going to happen with Julie? The writer Steve Niles is a good horror writer. He created the 30 Days of Night comic series. He wrote the comic book adaptation of I Am Legend. And he's been writing horror comics for a really long time. I thought the writing in this was fine. The main thing I had issue was this is just all set up. He's giving you a lot of threads to be interested at the beginning, like who are these people, what's going on. So of course you're going to have to read the following issues to get the payoffs for all of that. But I thought he did a good job setting up all those plot threads, and I do want to find out what is going on in this town and what's going to happen with Henry and his wife. Now, the thing everybody wouldn't stop talking about in this book, in the reviews that I saw, was the art. The art is amazing in this book. It really stands out, especially in scenes like when the father's fully assembled and you get a big shot of the laboratory and everything. Just his anatomy on the body is really well done. It's just some really good top-notch art. I will say, this being a horror series, I was expecting a little bit more horror, but they're setting up this whole world and what's going to happen. So the first issue, I get, doesn't have that much stuff. I did think the opening scene was pretty horrific with the body being assembled and clicking together and the way that they showed that in the 9-panel grids and everything. But after that, the comic has to set up the rest of the storyline with Henry and his wife and the being kidnapped. So the horror elements kind of take a back burner. But overall, I thought this was a really good comic and a really good setup to a series. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. And if you saw anything you liked, definitely go pick that up at your local comic store, and we will see you all in the next one.